Welcome to Wally Brown Makes, and today I want to share with you my thoughts about what you should be looking for if you're a beginner just about to buy all your tools and you want a chisel or chisels, and you look at all these online catalogues all down the B&Q and you're overwhelmed with choice. I don't know what to buy. But also, don't rule out the car boot. No. You can get some bargains in your local car boot. Just have a bit of a rummage around in the box, and there you go, you find a gem. And you go, oh, it's a little bit of surface rust on it, but it could make a really good chisel. But you need to be careful. You don't want to be buying a whole load of chisels that aren't really going to be able to, well, do the job at hand. For instance, let's say you want to do dovetail joints. Well, as you can see, a dovetail has angles. And a chisel that is square on the edges are not going to be able to get into all the, the shoulders on either side of that dovetail. No, could even be a mortise and tenon, such as the tenon joint and the shoulders of thus. So, what I would suggest is avoid Firmer chisels. Now this is a Firmer chisel. Now I do use this all the time, but not for that purpose. But I've got an array of tools, so I can choose. But if you're starting out, really, wouldn't it be a good idea to make sure that the tool that you choose has a multitude of uses? Just makes sense. See, this one here with its square edge, and that's a Firmer chisel. That's a very old chisel. This is an old Robert Sorby. Really good bit of steel. I still use it, like I say. But that's not what this video is about. I want to make sure that you're not going to waste money. No. Money's hard to come these days. That is. So, my suggestion would be to go for a Bevel Edged Chisel. They're probably the most common chisel you're going to see, but you still need to be careful. Because some Bevel Edged Chisels are not much more than a Firmer chisel with a square edge. No. And let me show you what I mean by that. Now, if you have a chisel, you look at that down this edge here, like I showed you with the Firmer chisel. Oh, look, it's got a bevel on it. Oh, well, that's a Bevel Edged Chisel, is it? Well, technically, maybe. But in practice, no, it's not. Because that bevel there stops too soon. And you have a square edge yet again. Now, that's all very well. But you're not going to be able to get that tight into the corner of a dovetail joint. No. Wouldn't it be better to have a chisel that could do that job as well as the job of the Firmer? That doesn't. No. Technically, well, not technically, in practice, it's the same as this Firmer here. Apart from being a little bit heavier duty, it's got a plastic handle. See, that's the other thing we'll be talking about in a moment. But I just want to show you what I mean by a Bevel Edged Chisel. You saw that one? It's so thick on the edges. It's no good to you. Look for one that's fairly thin on this edge. Maybe even thinner than this one. This one's actually quite worn now. It's probably lost about an inch of its length. Oh my God. I hope that don't happen to me. I can't afford it. No, anyway, I won't go there. So we got here this bevel, which is there. It stops just shy. So it's still got about a couple of, well, it starts with about 1 millimetre at the end. That's okay, that's acceptable. You're able to get that in to your edge of your dovetail. This chisel is still capable of paring out, that's a technical term, paring out the shoulders of this dovetail without bruising the tail. Because it's thin. If it's thick, you're going to potentially damage the shoulders and also the tail of your dovetail. If you want to talk about dovetails for, it's a dovetail joint. You have two pieces of wood, you might want to go and make one of these. It's a good learning experience. And they literally just slot in together like so, and that is a dovetail. It's not perfect, but I actually made that live, on a live video. So, there are a few options. Got second hand. This too, I would say this is a Bevel Edged Chisel, nice and thin on the edge. But then we look at this one here. It's thick on the edge. That's not a Bevel Edged Chisel. Good for carpentry. If on a building site, you want to chop in a hinge. You cut the hinge in, so like a hinge mortise, that's what the technical term. You can use a chisel like this, no problems at all. Most jobs on a building site, that's not a problem. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is have a chisel, get to do both jobs. In theory. So I would choose something like this, little Robert Sorby, if I found that in a car boot, or something with a similar format, new. Now the only problem you're going to find is that some of the chisels new, such as this Draper Expert, are all going to have very thick edges to their chisels. Avoid it if you can. So you might be better off doing the old car boot runs, or asking friends and family. I guarantee you there'll be somebody that you know has a toolbox in their garage that used to be their grandfather's or something. You know what I mean? It's just there's little gems just waiting for you, for which you might need to do a little bit of work. They might have a little bit of surface rust. That's not a problem. What you don't want to do is find chisels like this one that looks like it's been in the garden and just been dug up. In fact, that one had. Yes, I must have dropped it a while back, but it's an old barcode chisel and it ain't very good. Anyway, it's rubbish. So there's two other things you need to watch out for, and that is the wooden handle, and it might be a variety of different materials. It could be a beech handle, it could be a rosewood handle, or even oak, such as this one here. This is oak. Sometimes, such as myself, we make our own handles because after a period of time they get damaged by repetitive bashing. Now, you see what I'm doing here? I'm hitting wood on wood. That's wood, and my mallet is wood. That is a good idea. And don't start bashing your wooden handled chisel with a metal headed hammer. No. Get yourself or make yourself a mallet. There are some chisels that you can find online, such as Narex, which are made in the Czech Republic, but also Kirsch. That's the one with the little cherries. Great little chisels. So there you have it. That is my take on you going out and buying or finding your first bevel edged chisel. And it has a multitude of uses. It is a proper multi-purpose chisel. It's not a gouge, it's not a paring chisel, but for most purposes, the bevel edged chisel will serve most of your needs. And later on, you may come across a situation where your chisel or chisels do not fit the bill. Well, then you buy a chisel, or you find a chisel in a car boot, maybe, that fit that purpose. Such as a paring chisel, like this one. It's like a flipping sword it is. Now this is a Robert Sorby paring chisel. I bought this new. And its design is so you can easily control it across the top of a bridle joint or similar. Hence its length. It's a very long chisel that it is. I think this was an 11 inch. And then you've got a gouge, often used for carving, such as this one. It's got a curve to it. You're not going to do a dovetail joint with that, no. And then you have a mortise chisel. There's lots of other chisels, but these are three other common chisels. Now the mortise chisel is a beast. See how thick that is? That is so you can give it a good old weddy in a mortise for a mortise and tenon joint. And it's chopping end grain. Brilliant chisel. But you probably don't need that yet, if you ever do. So get yourself a bevel edged chisel. 3 different sizes, ideally. Now 2 sizes I would say are must-haves, such as a 12mm or half inch, or a 20mm or 3/4 inch. But if you want one more chisel to make you up to 3, get yourself a 25mm or 1 inch chisel, and maybe go a little bit narrower, such as a 1/4. A 6mm chisel is another very handy size. So that's my suggestion. It's up to you to make your mind up, and it all depends on what you want to do with your woodworking. So anyway, before I go, please click like and subscribe, and maybe that little bell icon, because then you get a warm fuzzy feeling in your pocket every time I upload another video. Blimey. Oh, and please comment below. And if you've got any questions, or is there any videos you would like me to make, please leave that in the comments down below, because I always read the comments. I can't always reply, but if there's a request, I probably will reply and make a video too. Oh, I'm here to help. Anyway, ta-ta.